Greetings loyal subscribers and honoured guests. Welcome to episode 43 of Covertape Chaos and the halfway point through season 4. This time around we have a selection of 4 different public domain games. Will they be the usual poorly made fare, or will they surprise us with their quality? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to find out. Before we can get to the more exciting stuff though, we have a collection of all the techie tips programs that have featured in the mag so far. Probably quite useful for those following along with the articles back in the day, but not much interest to us now if I'm honest. Let's carry on. There's one more thing before we can get on with the gamey goodness however, a scrolly demo for PesNet PD, the public domain outfit that provided the games. It's basically an advert for their services. Moving on again then. We finally get to the first of the games on this tape in the form of Subburner, a vertical shooter with an underwater theme. The opening screens of this game say that it was programmed by John Hare, who I am assuming is the same legendary John Hare of Sensible Software fame. This would make sense because this appears to be another Suit game, but the quality of it is a lot higher than usual. Considering John actually worked on the Suit program, that's not all that surprising though. The graphics aren't brilliant because they're fairly monochrome and lacking in much detail. It's mostly greys and whites with the very occasional bit of blue. The music by David Dewar is very nice though and helps keep the excitement level up. The game is quite good fun to play because it's not too tough early on, allowing you to make a decent amount of progress and appreciate the decent level design. Of course, it suffers from the usual restrictions that all Suit games of the time had to deal with, such as the lack of power-ups and bosses that will either leave or stop moving if you wait long enough, but other than that it's quite good fun. Game number 2 is called Skulls, and wouldn't you just know it, it's another vertically scrolling shooter designed with Souk and made by Sensible Software. This one isn't nearly as much fun as Subburner though, because the enemies just keep swarming at you, you only have 3 lives, and there's no interesting obstacles to avoid. Despite having more colourful graphics than Subburner, it's definitely a lot less interesting to play. The lack of music doesn't help much either. I am really starting to get tired of all these Suit games now, though I fear that this is far from being the last of them on these tapes. Unfortunately, the very next game is also a Suit game, though it does at least try something a bit different. Pudendorzi is a push-scrolling game rather than auto-scrolling, and it also makes use of platforms and ladders, though there is no jump button. The game initially feels very difficult to play until you realise you can just take it slow and wait for each enemy to run out of animation, then pick them off when they're just standing still. The graphics, again, are mostly one colour, a nice shade of blue this time, and there is no music. I would say that Pudendorzi is better than Skulls, but not as good as Subburner. Those who, like me, were hoping for a bit of variety in their power pack this issue will be sorely disappointed, as the 4th and final game is yet another Suit shooter. Chaos Road is another push scroller, this time of the Commando variety. You control a little soldier tasked with the duty of advancing through the enemy lines and killing as many of them as possible. This game is bloody hard. The bridge you start on is extremely narrow, making it tough to avoid losing any lives to the first enemies you encounter. It does get better once you get past the bridge, but 3 lives isn't very many at all really. Chaos Road probably has the nicest graphics of the 4 games we've seen this issue, as there is some actual variety in the colours used and the little soldiers are all quite nicely animated. Sound-wise, all you really get are some bog-standard 8-bit gun and explosion sounds, and no music once again. With a bit of practice, Chaos Road isn't too bad, and for me comes in 2nd place overall after Subburner. And so we've come to the end of Power Pack 43. Not really a great one if I'm being honest, due to the extreme lack of variety. I did enjoy Subburner though, especially the music. Hopefully Commodore format can do a little better with Power Pack 44. We'll find out together in 2 weeks' time. In the meantime, take care.